Welcome to the Mighty Basketball Podcast, also known as M.O.B Podcast, episode 63. I'm Evan.
And I'm Ja.
And this is our basketball podcast where we recap, break down, and analyze players and teams from the previous games from the previous day. How are you this start of the weekend, Saturday afternoon, Ja?
I feel out of it, man. I just feel out of it. That's it.
Why you feel out of it?
My head is never in the right space at times.
Why is your head in the right space?
I don't want to go into detail.
Because you're hating on so many players in the league now?
Oh, like who?
James Harden. just throw a name out there, James Harden.
Are you going to apologize to Gordon Hayward?
Who? Not Gordon Ramsay's a chef. In terms of basketball, though, we have a lot of basketball to cover. But before we get into that, well, we're having a good day. I hope everyone will have a good day. Start of the weekend, so enjoy it while it lasts, as I always say. Relax, and watch the pod. But before we get into the games, some news around the AllStar game. Kevin Durant has been announced his hamstring injury is going to take a little while longer, so he will be out through the AllStar break. So that means he will not be playing in the AllStar game. As a result, Jason Tatum replaced him as an AllStar starter. Jason Tatum has already been announced as an AllStar reserve. Now he's going to be being an AllStar starter.
Okay.
And the replacement for Kevin Durant was announced, and that replacement was Domantas Sabonis, of course, double-double machine, absolute beast in the post and in the paint. What else can we say about him? We've given him praise this entire season, and we both picked him for our All-Star team. So yeah, that's great. That's great news.
Yeah, that's great for Arvidas' son, man. He's legendary. Just probably like a little bit of a different kind of play style compared to his pops. Like less of a passer and more of the inside presence.
Oh,
he's a great passer. He's a great great passer, but yeah,
I misheard what you said. Yeah. No, Arvidas was a better passer, but Sabonis is a great passer though.
Yeah.
Yeah. So shout out to Tatum and Sabonis on there.
Arvidas Jr. Let me stop. Let me not disrespect him. Come on. He's making his own name.
Yes, he is making his own name. And speaking of Tatum and Sabonis, both of their respective teams went into battle last night. So let's get into it. The Pacers and the Boston Celtics did play from last night's game, first of the primetime doubleheader. And this was a really fun and entertaining game all throughout. So let's just skip to that fourth quarter, because this was a back and forth affair, as I said, from the first half to the second half. And in that fourth quarter, Pacers, I felt like they made few mistakes on the offensive side, and on the defensive side, they really had no answer for Kemba Walker, who really did ball out throughout the entire game, Cardiac Kemba, probably having his best game of the season. As you know, he's been a little inconsistent coming back from the injury, up and down throughout the games, but this felt like dominant. This felt like Charlotte Kemba. He had that rhythm. He was getting in the groove, and nobody could really guard him, no matter who it was.
Yeah.
As for the Pacers, Sabonis did his thing. Miles Turner had a great game as well on the offense and defensive side of the ball. Justin Holiday also stepped up for them when they needed to. But in the end, it was the Celtics hitting their big shots down the stretch to put them ahead and to win this close, tight battle against this Pacers team. Your thoughts?
Yeah, just like what you said, it was a close battle for most of the game. I felt like the first quarter, in the beginning of the first quarter, it kind of looked scary. I thought Indiana was going to kind of run away with it a little bit with the way that they came out. But luckily, the Celtics were able to get it together. They manned up on both ends of the floor, was able to play some good defense while also being who they are, able to like make their shots when it's time to go down, and as a result, it was just a back and forth affair from that point on. And just like what you said, it came down to who could execute better down the stretch, and that's what the Celtics were able to do. They were able to execute better down the stretch, and Cardiac Kemba looked amazing.
Mhm.
Just happy to kind of say that name finally after a good while.
Yeah, because it's been up and down with Kemba. We've seen him have good games,
Mm-hmm.
and then we've seen him have bad games. But this was like a great game by him,
Yeah.
and I love to see that, especially on a night where Tatum wasn't really Tatum. He really didn't have the best of nights. Brown did his thing, but he didn't really shoot the ball as much
Mm.
because Kemba was on fire. So it
Yeah.
really didn't need him to be Jalen Brown like we know him throughout the season. So this was a great performance by Kemba, like we both just said.
Yeah.
Happy to see that he had that rhythm
Yeah.
last night.
Yeah, and really quickly, let's just acknowledge some of the Celtics players for their impact, because even though they probably didn't do much, like Robert Williams, he had a good impact on both ends of the floor with the things
Mm-hmm.
that he was doing. Teague being that a little bit of that spark off the bench, you know what I mean? Like all these guys just coming in, trying to their best to contribute in
Daniel
a
Tice, who also
way.
hit the big shot down the stretch to
Yeah,
extend that lead from 3 to 6.
yeah, yeah. Like even though their impact is not as great compared to like Kemba, Tatum, or Brown, they do have an intricate part within this team, like how it should be with every good to great team. Like you know what I mean? So just I like to shout them out too.
Yeah. Also, Robert Williams, I really like how he plays. He really has brings the energy and the effort for the Celtics team. Kind of like Marcus Smart,
Yeah,
in
like a
which
big man.
yeah, like the big man version of Marcus Smart, with less flopping. Uh, so I feel like with Marcus Smart out, he helps fill that void a little bit,
Mhm.
not as much because we still see that the Celtics do struggle at times and they need Marcus Smart back.
Yeah,
But I really like his play. He's
yeah,
a
me
really good
too.
role player for them.
Yeah, I like his abilities and what he could do. Yeah,
Yep. Nonetheless, great win by the Celtics team trying to get into that rhythm right before the All-Star break after their recent struggles over the past month against the Pacers team, who are kind of getting into their uh slump. I would
yeah,
like, yeah, kind of get into their slump, their version of the slump.
yeah.
So we'll see what happens down the stretch in this wild Eastern Conference. But all right, on to the next game of the doubleheader. Rematch of the Western Conference Finals last year, first round, which was the Portland Trail Blazers up against the defending champions, Los Angeles Lakers. No AD, but they did have one key player return, and we'll get into that in a bit. But this was a really, once again, a really good close game, back and forth. Damian Lillard had it going in that first quarter, really couldn't miss. The Lakers had no answer for him, but the Lakers still fought back, still got back into that game, and where the Lakers really took control was that third quarter.
Mm-hmm.
Now this felt like the Lakers. The Lakers have been struggling a lot recently on a 4-game losing streak,
Yes.
but once that third quarter hit, where the runs that we see the Lakers get into, that's what kind of got them
Yeah.
going.
Yeah.
And they kind of rode that momentum in the third quarter that they got all the way towards the end of the game. And as a result, the Lakers beat the Trailblazers.
Yeah. Yeah. Just like what you said. It was a close battle up until that third quarter. Like,
Mhm.
Damian Lillard was just on fire. Like, but it's just like at the same time, if you know Damian Lillard, you shouldn't really be surprised if he go on sparks like this. Like, this is what he does. Like, this is what he do. But yet, when he has it going, his whole team has confidence and they feel like they could get it going. And that's what you saw. And that's the reason why it was such a close game.
Yeah, in that
His
first half, yeah.
Yep, in that first half, his abilities and what he could do energized the whole team. And as a result, you saw others starting to get into and contribute. But then again, just like what you said, I don't know if you brought him up, but
I didn't.
yeah, but
So
Dennis Schroder coming
It's
back.
back.
He's back after being out because of the health and safety protocols or whatsoever. He was balling out, and he gave that spark also that the Lakers needed, that they've been missing since having AD out. Like, just doing it on the offensive end, being that scoring output, being that leader that thanks to somebody else who we'll be talking about later on the Phoenix Suns, he helped groom them into that leadership position a little bit of like, how to carry a team at the point and things like that. And as a result, you see him, Braun doing what Braun does. Nobody's surprised. Yeah, we know that, man. And let's be honest, I mean, they get kind of limited in the second half. He had a great big half, but in the second half, they kind of try to find a way to slow him down. You can't stop him, but you could contain him, and that's what the Lakers did. And as a result, the Lakers just went away with it. They had a big run in the fourth also, and they just took the game from there.
Yeah, gotta give the props to Dennis Schroder here. The Lakers desperately missed his scoring ability and his the energy that he brings and the spacing that he brings with the penetration that he has, the ability to penetrate and get into the hole. They desperately missed that. You just saw it. They needed that scoring load. They needed to take that pressure off of themselves, especially all the pressure off of LeBron, because they was really just every team was really just trapping Braun because they really had no scorer. AD wasn't there and Schroder wasn't there. Braun was really the only scorer that they had.
Yeah.
Now Schroder's back, and you see the impact he has already in his first game back.
Yeah. And it's crazy how you say that, because you say before, when Schroder and AD were out, you said LeBron was the only scorer. But that's the reason why I say this. I just want to go on this quickly. But this is why I talk about Kuzma and his potential and the things that he could do. Because people tend to forget, or like, I'm not going to say we forgot, but people tend to forget prior to LeBron coming, he was like one of the best scorers for the Lakers team when they had a young core. And yet now, since he had to take a different kind of role, like, this was moments where he shined. He did shine. Let's be honest. He did shine. He probably didn't put up big numbers or anything, but he did shine when AD and Schroder were out. And he did try to take up most of the load.
Yes. Him alongside on Montrezl Harrell as well.
Yes. But it's just like, this is why I say we need more of that from him.
Yeah.
That's all it is.
I see your point. But now I think the Lakers can rest easy for now, at least, having Schroder back, taking the pressure off of Braun and the rest of the players. So, big ups to them. The Lakers now snapping a 4-game losing streak, trying to climb out of that struggle that they had ever since the injuries. And the Trailblazers are now on a 4-game losing streak. Right, I believe. Yeah, okay. Yeah, 4-game losing. But all right. On to other games that happen around the league. Anything you'd like to talk about first? Anything that you would like to speak about first? Anything that you'd like to go over first?
I'll leave that for a second.
Okay.
The first game I would like to talk about, the Bulls versus Suns, and this was a good game. This was a back and forth close battle, but I felt like the Bulls, this was their game to make a statement, and they ruined it. They really ruined it in that fourth quarter. It was in the beginning, again, it was back and forth, but in the beginning, it was just both teams exchanging buckets. And with and then the second and third quarter was just like, all Bulls. They had a lot of energy, a lot of spark. They were scoring in so many different ways offensively, from like the 3-ball to penetration to trying to even like work inside, passing and everything. And it was there for the taking, and it looked like this was a statement in which they could put the league on notice. Like, they're beating one of the best teams in the West, and then, but yet that fourth quarter hit, and then the Suns started to mend the comeback. And I feel like the main reason why they started to mend the comeback was because, once again, I know we talked about it before with his AllStar nod and everything, and how they felt like somebody deserved to be over him or whatsoever, but this is the reason why he's been named AllStar, and why he's always been and why he's a Hall of Famer. Chris Paul's leadership and his ability to impact the game, especially in times like that. He's a clutch performer, not because of his shots, but what he's able to do to help out his teammates. And that's what he did. He basically helped conduct that team to a win. You start to see things start to open up more. They man down defensively. I believe that they had a lot of points a lot of points off of turnovers and transitions in that fourth quarter. Um, um, thing, what's his name? Ayton started getting fed the ball in the paint so easily off of pick and rolls and stuff. The Bulls did not know how to close up the paint. The spacing, the three ball was hitting so well. They was penetrating, attacking the rim, and as a result, you've seen the Suns not only gain the lead, but they had a big run and they was able to run away with this game.
Yep. As we stated, last night this is not 93. So Suns do take this win against this Bulls team. I do agree with you. I feel like the Bulls could have came out with a,
Yeah.
More energy to make a bigger statement. But at the end of the day, the Suns team is just really good.
Yeah.
So I can't fault them for that. So yeah, good win by the Suns team. All right. Any other game that you would like to speak on, talk about?
Well, let's just say we can't say they in full effect because Tyler Hero was out, but the Miami Heat are back in action, and you see that they making a run, especially in this Eastern Conference, in which everything is just so close. They're making a run now, because the what's his name?
The Dragon.
The Dragon.
The Dragon is back.
Dragon is back, and you see how much this Heat team misses him and how they look when they look like they're about to be fully healthy. He has such a big impact on this game, especially in the scoring category. What he could do, being so crafty, so smooth, doing it on both ends, just impacting the game. And you just seen how this whole Heat team just ran with him. Jimmy Butler balled out, of course, but that's no question. But the way this Heat team went against this Jazz team that has a lot of momentum, they was able to go through. Don't get me wrong, it was a back and forth exchange, but it got to a point where the Heat looked like it was times where they could have went on a big run and ran away with it. But yet, Utah being Utah, you just can't make that happen. Donovan Mitchell balled out also, don't get me wrong. But I like to focus on that final, those last moments within the fourth quarter, those final possessions, because I felt like Utah had an opportunity to send this game into overtime at least. But the shots just could not go in for them. It's just like each and every time they had a good look, or they missed, or they airballed. But then they got the rebound. They started passing, and they got then whenever the Heat got the rebound, they kept following them, and then from then the lead just started to extend from there. And at that point, they just had no chance. They had no chance at that point. They had so many opportunities, and they just it just didn't go their way.
Yeah, Utah making mistakes. That's not really what we see from them, especially this season. We haven't seen that them shooting themselves at least. It's just usually teams just getting the better of them when they do lose. But I mean, with Donovan Mitchell, like you said, in the fourth quarter, remaining possessions of the fourth quarter, Donovan Mitchell had shot a little floater, missed it, got the rebound, and turned the ball over, trying to pass to Joe Ingles. And this is when they were down by 2. And then right after that, the Heat's next possession, Jimmy Butler goes down, hits a clutch, tough shot, and they are by 4 now.
Yep.
So yes, Jazz making mistakes, costing them, leading to the Heat's big time buckets and big time possessions. And as a result, the Heat do avenge their loss to the Jazz earlier in the season, and the Miami Heat, for the first time this season, are in a playoff spot. Not a play-in, a playoff spot.
The Dragon.
Yes, the Dragon is back. But all right. I'll go over the interesting game, the Pistons and the Kings game. This was a really fun, entertaining game. The Kings did have a early jump, got to a hot start, got up, I believe, 25-11 against this Pistons team. De'Aaron Fox balling as usual. We all know what he can do. We all know what he brings to the table, making plays, scoring ability, shooting ability, passing ability, playmaking. He does it all. Harrison Barnes also had a good game. This is a really balanced scoring for this Kings team. He didn't play last night, but it's funny that he was just behind me. But despite that, DSJ probably had his best game of the season playing for the Pistons. He was on the Knicks, and they did trade him for D Rose. And it was fun to see Dennis Smith Jr. out there, balling. Had a big time dunk, did a big three late. And I feels like he's getting his little rhythm back, he's getting his little groove back. I feel like he was messed up ever since back in Dallas, not even in New York, but back in Dallas. So it's fun to see him, kind of getting his feeling back. Also, that man behind me had a monster game. Probably might most likely run away most improved player of the year. Yeah, I think in my opinion, Jeremy Grant, even though the Pistons don't play that well, he's just having a tremendous season. Yeah, what he brings day in and day out in terms of offense, scoring ability, and the tough shots that he makes. I mean, it's unreal to watch him play like that. What?
And I would like to apologize
to
Jeremy Grant.
Oh, the viewers don't know about that. Yeah. Unless you want to put it out there.
No, I'm not gonna put it out there. I'm just gonna say I apologize. All right.
Well, no one's not gonna know what you're talking about. So yeah. But anyway, back to this game. They also did get a lot of key contributions. Josh Jackson, Sadiq Bey, and they found themselves in a tight one. Mm-hmm. But it was down the stretch, led by De'Aaron Fox, hitting the big shots, making the big plays, and the Kings found themselves up by 3. The Pistons had a chance to tie the game, but Jeremy Grant took a tough contested shot, and he missed. And as a result, the Kings do win this game, snapping their 9-game losing streak. 9-game losing streak. That's just crazy. All right.
Hey, at least they go 0-10. At least they didn't go 0-10. Just be happy with that.
Like James Harden's former team. All right. It is predictions time for tonight's set of games. Only a few tonight, and a lot of them aren't that late. So it should be good for us.
Yeah.
So, and let's start off with the Cleveland Cavaliers up against the Philadelphia 76ers. Well, that was quick. You said that last night with the Jazz, and look what happened.
Well, I didn't know the Dragon was coming back. If I knew the Dragon was coming back, I would be like, oh, okay.
All right, that's true. I'll give you that. I got the Sixers as well. The Timberwolves or the Wizards?
Timberwolves.
I got the Wizards.
Oh, you finally on this hype train?
For now. Actually, no. Only because it's Timberwolves. The Pelicans or the Spurs?
I'm going to pick the Spurs with this one.
I'm going to agree with you on that. I got the Spurs. The Pacers or the Knicks?
This ain't the 90s, man. I got the Pacers.
Oh, man. You're right. This ain't the 90s. I got the Knicks. I mean, it could go either way. Both matchups went either way in the 90s. So
yeah, to be honest.
The Jazz or the Magic?
Jazz.
The Nuggets or the Thunder?
Nuggets.
And lastly, and the only primetime game of the night on ABC, 8:30, Luka and his Mavs go to Brooklyn, facing up against Kyrie, Harden, and the Nets.
I got the Nets.
Got the Nets. They are on an 8-game winning streak. And I'll be wrong possibly to pick against them.
But you won't.
So I won't. I got the Nets. All right. I think it's time to wrap things up. My final thoughts, I would like to say, the Eastern Conference, like everything that's going on in that East, the standings is ridiculous. Let me just tell you. The Heat were the 10th seed going into Miami to play the Jazz. Mm-hmm. With the win against the Jazz, they went from the 10th seed to the 5th seed. 5 standing jump. And with the Pacers' loss to the Celtics, the Pacers dropped from the 4th seed to the 8th seed. That's how tight it is in the Eastern Conference. The Raptors, who currently hold the 4th seed, are only a game ahead of the Hornets, who are the 10th seed.
And you saw how Boston dropped too.
Yes, Boston did drop, but now with the win against the Pacers, they're back in playoff spot. They're the 7th seed. So yeah, the Toronto Raptors on a game ahead of the Hornets. The Heat, the Knicks, the Celtics, the Pacers, all at the same level.
Yeah.
Though if the playoffs start now, whoever gets in are based off tiebreakers.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just want to say that the Eastern Conference is wild right now. I think the only sure thing is that the 1, 2, 3 seed is going to be Sixers, Nets, Bucks.
Yep.
Barring a big drop off.
You ain't lying about that.
So yeah, this Eastern Conference is it's ridiculous. It really is. Most competitive it's been in years, I would like to say.
Yeah.
All right.
It looks crazy. It looks hot out there, man. It looks hot. Anything's possible. This kind of look like the Western Conference, like you know how the Western Conference used to be at times, in which it was post time. Like you don't know anybody, even with all the teams having winning records. Like anybody could fall to a certain seed at any moment. So,
yep. All right. With that being said, thank you guys for watching today's pod. Make sure you tune into tomorrow's podcast. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe.
Also follow IG down in the description below.
And once again, I'm Evan.
I'm Ja.
And this is the Mind of Basketball Podcast.